M. Night Shyamalan's new film Trap has just been released in theatres, and it's mostly a solid psychological thriller from the filmmaker. It's on one side a film that has very effective filmmaking and a gripping lead performance, but on the other, a movie that might come across as being a bit over the top at times too. However you feel about it though, like a lot of M. Night's other work, it has some interesting twists and turns throughout. So in this explained analysis, I'm going to be giving you my breakdown of Trap, discussing full plot details, the ending, the twists and much more. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the film yet, then I would recommend checking it out before watching my analysis. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming releases like Trap, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my explained video for M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. So M. Night Shyamalan is back in the director's seat with his latest film Trap. The story follows Cooper, played by Josh Hartnett, and his daughter Riley as they head to a Lady Raven concert. However, things take a turn when Cooper discovers that the event is actually a high-stakes sting operation orchestrated by the FBI to capture a notorious murderer known as the Butcher. Trapped with no escape, the tension escalates for Cooper, who is in fact the very killer they are pursuing. The film opens in a similar manner to the trailers, showcasing Cooper taking his daughter to a concert, only to realise that it's a setup designed to stop him. Early on, Cooper becomes suspicious as he spots a significant presence of police and SWAT team members. He approaches a merchandise vendor named Jamie to get the scoop on what's going on. And recognising Cooper's dedication as a father to Riley, Jamie reveals that the concert is indeed a trap aimed at capturing the Butcher, a notorious murderer infamous for dismembering his victims. And it's later seen on Cooper's smartphone that he is currently holding his latest captive Spencer in a secret basement. Cooper keeps an eye on him and tries to devise a plan to escape the concert. It quickly becomes evident that he possesses both a mixture of cleverness and also a bit of luck, as he manages to sneak into restricted employee areas. He ultimately swipes an FBI radio from the operations center, giving him the advantage of eavesdropping on the law enforcement strategies. He's not as in control as you would think though, as throughout the film we see that he gets troubling projections of his own mother, projecting her onto the FBI agent trying to catch him. While the film never outright confirms that Cooper killed his mother before the events of Trap, the notion seems quite believable, particularly given his persistent hallucinations of her. His troubled psyche can be traced back to the trauma of his childhood and the severe punishments he faced as a young boy. This trauma is evidently significant enough for Dr. Josephine Grant, the FBI's lead investigator, to recognise it, and she later relays this information to the pop star of the concert, Lady Raven, who tries to use it against Cooper later on in the movie while trapped in his wife's car. The dynamics of his relationship with his mother evoke comparisons to Norman Bates, leading to the speculation that he may have indeed taken her life at some point. This act could have been the initial step on his journey towards becoming a serial killer, as he has repeatedly mentioned the solace he finds in killing. But speaking of the opposition he faces, Dr. Grant, who's in charge of the operation, is determined to catch him. As Cooper listens in on her plans using the radio he stole, he realises that his usual antics won't help him escape this time. They've blocked off every entrance, there are officers on the roof, and they are going to thoroughly check every man in attendance once people leave the concert. But Cooper begins to think about a potential option. While enjoying the concert with Riley, a performer suddenly emerges from a trapdoor nearby, prompting Cooper to urge Riley to sneak through it in the hopes of making it backstage. Riley finds the idea absurd and begins to suspect that something is amiss. When Riley then points out that Lady Raven always selects a young girl to join her on stage, Cooper cleverly manipulates one of Lady Raven's staff members, which is her uncle, portrayed by director M. Night Shyamalan, into choosing Riley. He lies to M. Night's character, telling him that Riley has cancer in order to gain some sympathy and allow her on stage. She eventually does take the stage and forms a connection with Lady Raven, while Cooper strives to keep his composure and strategize his next move. Once they both go backstage after Lady Raven's performance, he quickly realizes that escaping will be far more complicated than he anticipated, especially with security on the lookout for the serial killer there too. He soon realizes that Lady Raven is much more involved in the operation than he initially believed, as she is collaborating closely with Dr. Grant. In a state of desperation and with few options left, he requests a private moment with Lady Raven, and during this encounter, he reveals his true intentions and threatens to kill his captive Spencer unless she assists him in making an escape. Although she helps him out of the concert, she starts to plot her own strategy during the limo ride out. Seizing the opportunity, she decides to invite herself to Cooper's home, a move that Riley urges her father to accept. And once they arrive there, she meets Cooper's wife Rachel, portrayed by Alison Pill, along with his son Logan. Now, while Trap may not delve into the profound themes characteristic of M. Night Shyamalan's other works, it does offer a subtle critique on the role of technology. Earlier in the film, Cooper utilizes his phone not just to survey his victim, but also to orchestrate his demise through carbon monoxide poisoning. However, Lady Raven flips this narrative by snatching his smartphone to aid Spencer in his escape. She locks herself in the restroom and goes live on her social media page, rallying her extensive fanbase for assistance. After gathering information from Spencer about his location, she mobilizes her followers to track down the hidden lair. Remarkably, it only takes moments for a fan to identify a broken lion statue she describes, allowing them to reach Spencer just in time to thwart Cooper's deadly intentions. So this juxtaposition of smartphone usage presents a commentary on our own interactions with technology, as while Cooper wields his device as a weapon, Lady Raven transforms it into a tool for good. In the process, she also exposes Cooper's secrets to his own family, revealing her knowledge of his disturbing Norman Bates-like past. When he eventually breaks into the bathroom, it appears he might finally succeed in eliminating her. But after she cleverly turns his own secrets against him, he realizes that this gives her a slight advantage. While the FBI arrives, prepared to apprehend Cooper, he manages to slip away through a hidden trapdoor in his house, reminiscent of the escape plan he had during the concert when he noticed another trapdoor. As the police strategize their next steps, Lady Raven waits in her limo and is eventually driven off by an unknown driver. We discover that the driver is none other than Cooper in SWAT uniform, as he has handcuffed her to the door of the vehicle. During the ride, she manages to lower her window, calling out to the fans gathered outside for help. The car eventually becomes swamped by her fans, and Lady Raven seizes the moment to make her getaway. And when the FBI arrives at the scene, they shoot out the tires and the driver's side window. Once they open the car door, they find out that they have been outsmarted once again, as Cooper cleverly created the illusion that someone was still behind the wheel, allowing him to blend into the crowd and escape. Once back at his home, Rachel soon realizes that her husband has returned, waiting for her in the darkness. And his return is driven by a startling discovery. He has figured out that Rachel was the one who betrayed him, having uncovered one of his safe houses and sensed that something was wrong. In her previous encounter with Lady Raven, the pop star had candidly discussed the infamous serial killer known as the Butcher, making it known to us that the police were able to set a trap at her concert because the killer had made a critical error. He had left a ticket receipt for her show near the scene of his previous crime. However, during Cooper's confrontation with Rachel here, it becomes evident that this explanation is only partially true, as although the ticket receipt led to the trap at the arena, it was not found due to his own mistake. Cooper's theory is confirmed by Rachel, who says that she has been piecing together clues about his hidden life as a serial killer. After following him to one of his hideouts, Rachel managed to break in and left a receipt for the authorities to discover. Although she didn't intend to set a trap, she admitted that her goal was to lead the police onto him, having deduced his identity from the distinct scent of hospital cleaning products on his clothing. So with the full truth now out, it becomes evident that Cooper has returned to kill her. Before he can do so, she proposes they share one final slice of pie together. He agrees, unaware that Rachel has taken this chance to poison it. And once he starts to feel the poison, she reveals that she discovered it in his emergency go bag, which he carelessly left in her car while planning to abduct Lady Raven. So ironically, one of Cooper's own tools of murder has been turned against him, all because of his oversight in leaving the bag within Rachel's reach. And this brings us to the ending of Trap, where we learn that M. Night has one last twist for us to see. As the poison takes hold of Cooper, he has one last vision of his mother, only to discover that Dr. Grant is actually the one standing in for her. Unbeknownst to him, Dr. Grant and her team have been waiting in the adjacent room, ready to apprehend him, and they ultimately succeed. While being escorted away in handcuffs, Cooper pauses to retrieve his daughter's bike from the ground in their front yard. He sets it upright, a gesture that seems to reflect his sociopathic OCD and obsession with control. However, it soon becomes clear that he had secretly removed a spoke from the bike's front wheel, and once alone in the back of the FBI van, he uses that spoke to pick the locks on his cuffs and presumably make his escape. So we learn that there was always a way out for him, and like at the concert, he just had to find it. The narrative strongly suggests that he will break free from the van, allowing him the chance to kill once more. Cooper's story culminates in a chilling psycho-like moment, hinting that his twisted game is far from finished as he gazes into the camera with an unsettling laugh. This reveals that Trap delved into the fake identities people create to conceal their true identities, with the killer masquerading as a caring father while secretly leading a double life as a serial murderer. Additionally, it illustrates how trauma can be inflicted on others, much like Cooper does with his victims. He explicitly states that he preys on those who believe they are complete, as he perceives that no one is. And the other big talking point come this ending is whether this could be explored further in another installment. The film could potentially set up an exciting chase between Dr. Grant and Cooper, leaving there the chance of a sequel. In a follow-up, Cooper could continue his killing spree, reigniting Dr. Grant's pursuit. Furthermore, the sequel could delve into Cooper's obsession with Rachel, especially since he made his intense feelings clear during their chat at the very end. M. Night might choose to develop another trilogy like he did after Unbreakable and explore different aspects of the characters he's introduced. But on the flip side to this, you could say that this might just be another one-off project for the filmmaker. We'll have to see, but there's definitely room to expand if he really wants to. One other thing to mention is that come the end of the film, there is also a brief post-credit scene too, and it's one that re-acknowledges the merchandise vendor Jamie from earlier on in the movie. Now, we know that he was a confessed butcher fan, having informed Cooper that he kept a close eye on his criminal activities. But in the credit scene, we find him watching the news, and during a breaking report, it reveals that Cooper was the butcher all along. This shocking revelation sends him into a frenzy, leading him to swear off any conversations with his co-workers from that moment forward. It's just a fun little moment that plays on their interaction from before, and it doesn't really indicate any more about if we'll get a sequel. I think like M. Night's other recent films, it doesn't really need one, and while Cooper is supposedly on the run again, I think the director ended it that way to remind us of Cooper's cunning nature and how ultimately it aided his escape. But that was my breakdown and analysis for Trap. Overall, I found the film to be a bit of a mixed bag, succeeding in its presentation of its central ideas and being led by a great lead performance, but a project that also had so many silly moments which took me out of it too. I will say that I'm more positive than negative towards it, and I did generally enjoy the ride it presented. Much of this is again down to M. Night's filmmaking and the performance from Josh Hartnett, and without that, it wouldn't have kept me invested. But I think with a few changes to certain scenes and situations, it could have thrived even more so. For example, the ending was a perfect moment between Cooper and his wife, and the ultimate trap was put in motion by her. But to me, that was then derailed when Cooper sets himself free in the back of the FBI van. Don't get me wrong, I know it's something that he would do, but I think it kind of took away from the storytelling of that ending. There were other moments like this that bugged me as well, and while the film acknowledges its silliness, I do think it could have worked better without some of it. As a whole though, I do think that the film was still an enjoyable M. Night experience, and it's one that continues his recent streak of solid work. But I do hope this breakdown did help some of you guys understand the film and the main details a bit better, and overall, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, so don't forget to let me know down below in the comments section. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Trap, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.